Well, our senior reporter Annika Larsen is outside Parliament for us as we count down to the President delivering his State of the Nation address this evening. She joins us now live. And Annika, it is always about the substance of the speech itself, but I feel like there is more of a sense of let's cut down on the pomp and ceremony, let's really get down to business.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a reflection of economic austerity that is being adhered to. As the Speaker of the National Assembly, Thandi Modise, said, it's time to cut some of the fat and really get the budget to under 2 million rand, especially as there have been 2 State of the Nation addresses this year. The last one was in February. Now, what some of the comments have been is that people are really wanting to now see a detailed plan. The Ramaphosa, as the Chief Whip of the DA, John Steenhuisen, said, needs to be the Rama reality. And I thought that was quite a good way, a succinct way of putting it. Really what South Africans are wanting is the detailed map of hope, if you like. And I do have with me a very learned man who's Riza Omar, who's the Strategic Research Director of Citizen Surveys, who do social and political research since 1996. So you will have tracked several of the administrations, over the years. And I remember when President Thabo Mbeki stepped aside or was pushed out, whatever you want to look at it, there was a sense of anything but Mbeki. And former President Jacob Zuma had very high approval ratings. And now you're looking at 38% of South Africans believing that South Africa is heading in the right direction. President Ramaphosa's approval ratings, have they seesawed?
Well, in its historical context, in 2010, just over nearly 2/3 of South Africans believed that the country was heading in the right direction. It slowly descended. In 2014 or so, we saw the crossover point, where there were now more people who believed the country was heading in the wrong direction than the right direction. At the depths of our despair, at the end of the Zuma period, only 2 out of 10 South Africans believed the country was heading in the right direction. As Cyril Ramaphosa became the president, we headed back to nearly 40% believing the country is heading in the right direction. And subsequent in the last 15 months, we've been through a seesaw journey.
The State of the Nation address, how was the February address before President Ramaphosa was given the mandate by the people received?
We asked people if they were aware of Sona, if they had heard, if they had listened or read about Sona in February. And what we found out was just under half of South Africans paid attention to Sona. Of those who paid attention to Sona, 2/3 of South Africans reported that it made them feel more positive about the direction of the country.
President Ramaphosa certainly has been very careful to come across as all-inclusive, as speaking many of the words and virtues of the late Nelson Mandela, cohesion, trying to fix the division in the party. Can he deliver, do you believe, on some of the challenges ahead when you're looking at such an economic nosedive, such as the GDP in the first quarter of the year, and the terrible state of state-owned enterprises?
Well, he has committed, and South Africans have taken him at his word. We understand the most important problems facing South Africans. Nearly 3 out of 4 South Africans believe that unemployment is the most important problem, followed by crime and poverty and destitution. When President Ramaphosa made his promises, when the election manifestos were made public, on that basis South Africans voted for the party, the ANC, and for President Ramaphosa. And South Africans expect that he will make good on his promises, and a concrete plan of action will be drawn up, and a timetable, so that we can measure, are we getting closer to our goal? Because in the past year, we've been through the economic recession of Q3 of 2018, and in the first quarter of this year, about 230,000 jobs were lost. South Africans cannot sustain this level of hardship indefinitely, so President Ramaphosa must make good on his promises within a reasonable period of time.
Do you think he's able to, I suppose what I'm asking as well is he able to do more than just mop up the billions lost to looting, or can he actually clean up?
Well, he has obligations now. When he promised, when he cast his vote in Soweto, he made a series of statements where he promised that while the ANC had gone off track, he committed to putting it back on track. In that regard, South Africans will hold him at his word. He's obliged to deliver. If he does not deliver, then we are going to have significant consequences for political legitimacy and the legitimacy of the democracy.
Why, in your analysis and in your surveys, do you think South Africans trust President Ramaphosa?
Well, on the back of ex-President Zuma, South Africans were looking for a credible alternative that could put the country back on track. At the end of the Zuma period, we asked South Africans, should he resign as president? At which point, 8 in 10 South Africans said he needs to resign. Subsequent to his resignation, a credible leader had come forward in President Ramaphosa, and South Africa needs hope. The situation is becoming more and more difficult for the vast majority. In the absence of hope, what do South Africans really have? And therefore, when he gave his commitment to be able to solve our problems, South Africans believed him.
Thank you so much, Riza Omar from the Citizen Surveys, with in-depth knowledge for so many years, tracking social and political trends, certainly in South African politics, and why President Ramaphosa has instilled hope in the majority of South Africans. Perhaps we have no option but to believe that the captain of the ship is going to steer us in the right direction, because if we do not have hope, as Mr. Omar said, then we have nothing.